What is going on? Happy Friday. Woodward Bet's back in the house. And oh, look at this guy. He takes a night off. He makes his return here, waving money around. Rocket, what shirt you got there? I got to see this shirt, man. Oh, we're going
tones on, bro.
Again, man. Yeah. Your 90s outfits here are pretty impressive. So, A, welcome back after a well-deserved day off. We know you've been grinding here more than anybody. And B, that shirt, where did that come from? Tell me that came out of the same collection as that 91 Lions shirt.
No, actually, this one here, I think I went to one of the local stores and saw that. And, you know, those Pistons at that time will always be dear to my heart, the bad boys. I mean, that's when I was really into the Pistons, back when they had to go to Cobo Hall and play games, and played in the Silver Dome with the big, the big curtain on the half of the arena there. So, yeah, them were the fun days there. Bill Laimbeer and Mahorn smacking people. Basketball is a lot different, but yeah, I mean, you got to represent. I wasn't one of the Pistons fans, you know, when they had that horse and all that. So, the old red, white, and blue basketball here, Detroit basketball. That's how we like to do it.
There you go. It was those were the heydays of basketball, man. Them games were something else. Very physical basketball back in those days. The scores would be 60s, 70s. I know everyone loves their scoring, but I love hearkening back to those days, the battles of the Pistons and the Bulls, and just some great memories. So wanted to spotlight that shirt there for sure, but lots to do today on the show. Friday, always a jam-packed show for us. So first of all, welcome in. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Woodward Bets. Follow the network at Woodward Sports. And Scott, we want to bring a cause to the people here. And Christmas time, you know, always a joyous time for most, but unfortunately, some don't have it as good as we do. So we want to make that. We want to make a difference. We want to make a change. It's called Stuff the Studio, and this was a big hit last year. Over $70,000 raised with this campaign. So all you got to do, bring a toy into the studio. The studio easy to find there, right in downtown Birmingham. But all next week, you bring a toy in. Guess what? You can meet everybody here at the Woodward Sports Crew. So you want to say hi to Ryan Armani, Braylon Edwards, Darren McCarty, whoever it may be. If they're hanging out, we'll gladly say hi, take a picture. But we want to generate as much toys that we can here and get them out to the kids out at the Mott Hospital out in Ann Arbor, University of Michigan. So, Scott, super excited to be a part of this and wanted to bring this cause up early again. This will go on all next week. You bring that toy to the studio or head over to woodwardsports.com. There's a way to donate there as well. So trying to make this as easy as possible, but love to be a part of this year.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see last year. I know they had that literally, Chris, that whole studio. I know, we've been in there. I mean, that's a pretty decent sized little room there. And I mean, they stuffed the whole thing all the way around, all the way up through the desk. And they were talking about stuffing it even more this year. So we're going to try to work against ourselves. Look at that. Yeah, there it is, that picture. I mean, that is impressive. I know Spencer behind the glass there. I mean, he's the toy tester around the studio, I hear. So he's out there making sure everything is top notch for those youngsters. But yeah, what a great thing to be a part of. As you mentioned, no kid deserves to go without a Christmas. And I've been through that children's hospital a few times, and really for me, when you have kids, it's just not a place for that. You just see some things that just gut wrench you sometimes, and it's hard to see, but yeah, it's special to be able to be a part of that. So yeah, if you can drop off a toy, go down, see the boys and girls down there and at the Woodward Sports. It's always a lot of fun, but anything is helpful. We definitely appreciate it here at from the Woodward Bet Show.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that you can do. We know it's a busy time. Everyone's planning their own Christmases with their own families, their own kids, but you'd be surprised, what one toy could do for some of these kids. So it really makes a huge difference. As you saw last year, very impressive. We want to outdo that here this year. So again, we are glad to be a part of it.
Winners.
Yeah,
We're
free
giving
winners,
free
right?
winners. So yes, I mean, as a thank you, come on in and drop off a toy for all the people. I mean, Chris, I got to give you guys a round of applause. You guys went 5-1 yesterday with your best bets. That's why I was waving my money. I'm no dummy. This guy here played your picks last night. This guy here
There
went
we go.
5-1. Now, I didn't parlay them all, but definitely caught the show and got in those bets and was pretty pleased with my results that I saw at the end of the night. So we got some pressure tonight. We got to stay hot tonight.
Yeah, I mean we're close to replacing you. Beastie keeps coming in and giving some winners. We might have to shuttle you out. Kidding, of course. But
Hey,
thank you to Beastie for joining the show yesterday. Gave you a hockey winner, gave you a football winner. We had NBA winners, another NFL winner. So as I always say, though, we're only good as today. I see the board back there. Appreciate the shout out. Thursday nights have been good. And the appearances on the bottom line, love those guys. So thank you to Maz, Ryan, and Braylon for having me on again yesterday. If you missed that, every Thursday at 3:35, I join those guys and talk some Thursday night football, college football, whatever happens to be going on. So again, thank you to those guys. Make sure you're catching that show every 2 to 4. The bottom line here, some great sports talk. So Scott, a lot to do today. I want to get right into. We got a lot of sports to do, but we kind of messed up last week. We started the beers with beer a little too late in the show. It doesn't give us the opportunity to enjoy the beer throughout the show. So I want to go to that first here. We're going to get to the sports. We're going to talk NFL. We're going to talk some college football. We're going to talk NBA, of course. And as always, we'll end with best bets at the end of the show. But it's Friday. So last week we spotlighted M43 from Old Nation. Had some great suggestions. So I appreciate everybody that reached out. Put those on the list, no doubt. We're gonna have a lot of these segments. So, but I wanted to spotlight a true Michigan staple, Scott. I mean, this is a beer that you can literally find at every restaurant, every store. All the traveling I do, I see it everywhere across the country. I mean, this is one of the top breweries in the country, and we're lucky to have it right here in Michigan. I'm talking about Bell's Brewery, and I'm talking about one of their most famous beers here, Scott. Let's hold them up. We're going a little two-hearted here today. So most of you guys out there know what a two-hearted is. Now, Scott, you know, this one packs a punch. You're usually a Modelo drinker. This one checking in at 7%. So that's about 15 of your Modelos all in one here. So this one, I'm not requiring a glass on this one. I mean, we both got the bottle. You're welcome to pour it into a glass if you want. But I'm going to go right out of the bottle here. But, you know, an American IPA – no twisty. Need a bottle opener. See how much of a rookie this guy is? Expecting a twist off on a craft beer is not happening.
The good thing I got one of these from the safety meeting.
There you go. Boom.
There we go.
Now if you're gonna do your pour, do it correctly. You lean the glass, you pour it slowly.
Right out of the bottle.
Right out of the bottle. So a virtual cheers to you, to everybody out there. Let's take a swig, see what you think.
Yeah, it's almost similar to last week.
It's similar. So here's where I'll tell you that last week, Old Nation is a little, let's say, sweeter. It's got more of the fruity, orange, pineapple-y type tones, where this is more IPA style. So a little bit more bitter, not as bitter as a lot of them out there. So you'll see IBUs, Scott, somewhere on this bottle. I'm gonna educate you here real quick. Is it on this bottle? It's usually on the bottle, so not on this one. But the higher the IBUs, the more bitter it is. So the more of that, you know, that where you're going like this as you're drinking it. So this one not quite as bitter as some, but again, anyone talks Michigan beer, this is one that they're going to bring up. This may be the most popular beer in the state. So we'll let you kind of sip on that throughout the show, and we'll get a review. The initial look was not too pleasant from what I'm seeing. So your face is telling the story right now. I'm not expecting to like all these beers. That's the beauty of this segment where
it's okay. It isn't one that I probably go back to. Do you put fruit or something in this thing? Like
no fruit. So the other big beer from Bell's, which, you know, is more of a spring summer type beer, is Oberon. That's the one that'll have the orange in it at most places that you go to. This one, straight up. But 7%ers, they'll catch up to you pretty quick. So these are not ones that you can just pound away on all day. Now, they did come out, and maybe we'll have this on one of the shows. They came out with it's called Lighthearted. So that one's more of an all day IPA is another famous one from Founders, but it's more of a session IPA. It's called, where you can drink a ton of them. Say you're out on the boat or you're doing whatever. This is not designed for that, but the Lighthearted is. So maybe if you don't like this one, we'll bring in some Lighthearted at some point.
That would be my problem, drinking all these heavier beers. I mean, Chris, just to kind of put it in the time frame, I mean, what are we at bowling usually, like 2-3 hours possibly? And usually I'm 8 to 10 beers at bowling. Generally, I can smash down. So, 3-4 beers an hour. And if I'm smashing 7%ers like that, I think I'd have to get me a Uber ride home or have somebody else drive me home. But I live pretty close, so it's literally around the corner. But still, yeah, these 7%ers will catch up to you, as you said, pretty quick.
Yeah, you'd end up like your boy laying in the weeds with the Rainier beer. Spencer, can we fire up there he is. Too many Two Hearteds. That's how you're going to end up looking. So at least it's right around the corner. I mean, that's always a good opportunity to get some exercise in and walk with a few Two Hearteds on board. But as Scott said, you're out there drinking, please do it safely. No drinking and driving. Call a cab, call an Uber, be smart. If you're drinking at home, hey, enjoy yourself a Two-Hearted. So we'll get the full review at the end of the show. But, Scott, we are here to talk some sports as well. Let's start with college football. We had the awards. Actually, maybe we'll save that for tomorrow's show. We're going to talk a lot of college on tomorrow's show. So make sure you guys are tuning in tomorrow morning. We're going to cover the Army-Navy game. I know that's the spotlight game. We'll talk some of these college awards, the Heisman, all that good stuff on that show. So come on back tomorrow morning for that. So, Scott, let's get into some of the other stuff. Let's recap Thursday night football. Minnesota was good to us. That was the pick last night. Beastie was on the over in that game. Obviously, a ton of points towards the end of that game. And the thrilling game, I mean, for Pittsburgh to come back in that one, it looked like they were dead and buried here. Minnesota got out to a big lead. They come back and make it a ball game. So, thoughts on Thursday night football, a high-scoring game. Dalvin Cook goes nuts in his return. Overall thoughts on the game was pretty entertaining last night.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it started out where you saw Dalvin Cook running down the sideline, running through the middle. It was Dalvin Cook's show. And you're sitting there thinking, oh, man, I had some showdown teams. And I actually went with, on DraftKings, I went with Joseph as my MVP. And that may sound a little crazy though, Chris, but it got me to where I was able to jam in a lot of the pieces of the passing game. And my last decision was, do I go Jefferson or do I go Cook? I would have cashed even higher than I did in some of the low end cash on some teams with what I ended up having. But man, if I would have had Cook, I would have done pretty well. But at that point, we weren't sure if what that shoulder was going to do, but man, that guy looked pretty good. But yeah, we went from a game where it was just like, man, these Vikings are going to run away with it. And one of my buddies said, Zimmer's the coach, he's going to screw it up, and these Steelers are going to get back in it. And sure enough, he was right. It was entertaining for sure. Came up a little short, but Chris, what the hell was Claypool doing? They're trying to, at the end of the game there, they're trying to rush down the field, and that dude's worrying about giving his first down sign. I'm thinking, man, this guy needs to wake up. So I'm sure that guy got an earful today during film session.
Yeah, he's already on the shit list. I mean, he made a comment, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, that we should have music at practice. It will lighten things up. And Mike Tomlin was pretty stern in his answer and said he should worry about being a wide receiver. I'll worry about being the coach. So another incident there, which highly talented guy, but sometimes it's a bit much, like you said. So a lot of great action on Twitter revolving around Chase Claypool today. So hopefully you guys caught
a lot. It's not Juju, it's him, right? Where do these Pittsburgh get these receivers? It's like they breed these dudes. If it isn't Antonio Brown or one of these guys, man, coming from Pittsburgh, seems like there's always some kind of circus show going on over there.
Yep. And then you got Deontay Johnson, just comes to work and catches 8, 9, 10 passes every single week, like clockwork.
Yes, he
So
does.
Pittsburgh comes up short. Again, a high-scoring night in fantasy. Needed some Dalvin Cook. Jefferson had a decent game, but Scott, we were hoping you took down that qualifier, but the kicker started out on the wrong leg, missing that long field goal, and we'll go for it again. Last week to try to qualify for the DraftKings final is this weekend, so I know you and I will be chasing that here and trying to land that seat. You're going to be there regardless, but it's much more fun to be there as a player and a participant than just hanging out. So hopefully, if not one of us, one of the people out there, and we're going to cover that slate on our Sunday morning show, along with your sit start questions. We're going to move that to Sunday. So if you had any of those, save those. We'll get to them live Q&A every Sunday morning, 9 to 10 right here on the network, on YouTube, wherever you find our show. So excited about that. So we'll be talking plenty of football, getting you ready for that Sunday slate. But let's talk injury, Scott. Let's get some updates here. Let's start in L.A. with the Rams. Darrell Henderson, limited practice yesterday, so we'll see if he's able to return. It sounds like it may be a split, even if he does come back. Sony Michel played well in that last game. San Francisco, Jeff Wilson back at practice, so good sign for him. Deebo Samuel, no practice yesterday, so they're optimistic they can get him back, but we'll keep an eye on that. Tyrod Taylor back at practice yesterday, but they came out today and said Davis Mills will be the starter, not only this week, but for the rest of the season. So Tyrod, you can let him go. Looks like he is done for the year. Devontae Adams, limited practice yesterday. No practice for Aaron Rodgers. Not alarming. He went through the same scenario the week before the bye, so I have no concerns that he's going to play. Allen Robinson looks like he's trending towards a return. Not listed on the injury report for today, so good news there. David Montgomery got a limited practice in yesterday. Sounds good on him as well. Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon. Burrow limited with that finger and knee issue. Mixon still dealing with an illness, so did not practice yesterday. I think he gives it a go here as well. Mike Glennon of the Giants still dealing with that concussion. Alvin Kamara, full practice yesterday, so good news on him. Elijah Moore, no practice yesterday, so remains questionable. Tevin Coleman was announced out today, so if you're counting on Coleman, you're going to have to look elsewhere. Jarvis Landry got a limited practice in yesterday. Jeremy McNichols, full practice yesterday. Sounds like he should be back in that lineup. James Robinson, no practice yesterday. We'll see if he's able to give it a go. Limited practice for J.D. McKissick. Elijah Mitchell, no practice yesterday. Not looking good for him. Mike Williams keeps testing negative. They're optimistic he can play, so we'll keep updating that. And Darren Waller, not looking good there. So, Scott, a lot of injuries to run through here on a Friday. Anything stand out there as a surprise? It's mostly guys we've talked about already. Jeff Wilson is interesting. We talked to Michael Hasty. We'll see which one of those guys is the lead back if Mitchell's unable to go. But pretty not surprising injury list here. Just lengthy and long this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you got to pay attention there. It's just like running backs. It's what 5-6 different running back situations that are going to change. With Henderson playing, is that going to take from Sony Michel? Looked like he had obviously got all the run last week, and then that San Francisco backfield there. That's interesting. I think you're going to get Jeff Wilson with the lead back. Hasty will come in and still be that pass catching back, but. Yeah, I'm interested in that one there. I got some shares of Jeff Wilson. I think Mitchell is not going to be able to give it a go. So, like we said, I mean, all these running backs here at the end, Chris, it always is the talk here, especially at the beginning of season-long draft. Should you put that much equity in running backs, go after different positions? And I think every week, Chris, we keep talking about it. There's 3, 4, 5 different running backs that you can go out and grab that's useful for a week or two. So you just got to pay attention to these waiver wires. Mix and match some spots here, and there's been some pretty decent guys that you've been able to pick up along the way.
Yep, the old zero RB crowd is loving to hear that, where you just load up on wide receivers early. I know that was the flavor of the month in best ball this year, people grabbing all the wide receivers they could and taking a lot of these running backs late. So it can be effective. You got to hit on the right guys, though. I think sometimes we think we know who the handcuffs are. We think we're smarter than we are as a community, myself included. And sometimes you just swing and miss on those guys. So, it depends. I like a nice blend of the two rather than just going 0 RB. Maybe you take one, an anchor RB, then you come back and you take a bunch of these guys later in the draft. So lots of ways to get it done, obviously. So some more updates. T. Higgins sounds like he's going to be able to give it a go. So they are optimistic on Burrow, Mixon, and Higgins all being in that lineup here this week. We mentioned Mike Glennon. Looks like he is on track. So he will be the starter, looks like, this week. Julio Jones, full practice today. So sounds like he's going to be back in that Tennessee lineup. We mentioned the Bears, Robinson, Montgomery. They're both slated to play this week. Ricky Seals-Jones back at a full practice this week. So a nice value tight end for you in DFS and someone you can grab in season long as well. And we mentioned Alvin Kamara, Scott. Sean Payton came out and said he is a full go. So he will be back in that Saints lineup this week against the Jets. So again, looking forward to it. Last week to qualify. I know a lot of fantasy playoffs are likely starting next week. Some leagues I'm in are even starting this week. So we're getting to that point of the year. You know, the nitty-gritty. Christmas is here, and the injuries are certainly starting to take their toll. So let's talk some NBA, Scott. We got 9 games on the docket. Speaking of injuries, a lot of stuff to rattle through here as well. Make sure, if you're playing NBA, we're going to continue to say it, you got to pay attention all the way up until lock. Things may change even after we go off the air here. So make sure you're getting that updated injury report before you lock in those lineups. So we'll run through some of the stuff we know already. Charlotte going to be thin once again. No LaMelo Ball for Charlotte. No PJ Washington likely tonight. And Terry Rozier also out. So guys like Kelly Oubre are going to get a bump. We saw Gordon Hayward have a big game. And there's some value there as well with Martin. No Devin Booker once again for Phoenix. Landry Shamet will continue to start. I like Campaign as a value option. No Jaylen Brown once again for Boston. So that always means Jason Tatum, Scott, becomes a guy that we definitely want to look at tonight. DeAndre Ayton looking doubtful tonight, dealing with an injury. Anthony Davis, always questionable here once again. Minnesota likely without D'Angelo Russell here tonight. Kevin Porter Jr. will miss tonight for Houston. OG Anunoby remains out for Toronto. And that's most of them. Rashawn Holmes with Sacramento's out. We know Jalen Green remains out for Houston. That's about all I'm seeing here, big name-wise. So, Scott, I'll turn it over to you. DFS, who are we looking at for your lineups here on Friday night?
Yeah, as long as that Charlotte team continues to be shorthanded, I mean, you got to keep considering these guys. They have bumped up the pricing a little bit, especially Oubre and Martin. But Martin's still only 5,000. I think you really got to use him and look at him as a low price guy to throw in your lineups. He's only 5K on FanDuel. And then another, as you mentioned, Oubre, he's 7,400. I like him. You might even be able to throw in a JT Thor. He's only 4,000. He's projecting pretty well. I think that's somebody you could look at. But you mentioned without Brown over there, obviously, as you mentioned, Tatum, Dennis Schroeder is another guy that you could look at. And then I don't mind Josh Giddey, also against that Laker team that seems to give up quite a bit of points. But man, Anthony Davis, Chris, that guy's a thorn in my ass. Every time I play that dude, he burns me. But I mean, he is in a good spot tonight. It's like, do I click that button or do I not click that button? I've done it like 3 or 4 times where I've been in this situation. I click the button and then I just sit there and wait all night for the tweet that he's not out as I'm watching his score not move on my app. Like, what's going on? As soon as you don't see that score moving on the app for like 5 or 10 minutes, it's like you instantly get this gut-wrenching feeling that the dude's out. So very frustrating to roster that guy.
Yeah, I believe there's a Twitter page designated just for Anthony Davis. Is he injured or not? And it always just says yes, yes, yes,
right.
yes. Like, it's just, I mean, the guy's made of glass. I don't know what to tell you. So always a risk rostering Anthony Davis, so no doubt. So tonight you nailed it. Charlotte, obviously a lot of ways you can go. We mentioned Oubre, Hayward. I think Miles Bridges could be the forgotten man here. We got some cheaper plays like Martin and Richards there. We got Oubre's been lighting the world on fire. Hayward coming off that big game, but Bridges could be the one people kind of forget about. This game could be a track meet, Scott. We're talking a total of 230, 2 teams in the top 3 in pace in the NBA. So certainly a game you're going to want some exposure to here. Not only that reason, but obviously the injuries with Charlotte. So some other guys I really like tonight. Jonas Valanciunas against the Pistons. This guy's just a double-double machine, so I don't see any reason why that changes. Houston, I think, can get some nice value on guys like Armani Brooks, Eric Gordon in the mid-range. Milwaukee been vulnerable against the 3. And Christian Wood gets a little bit of a revenge game tonight. Milwaukee, his first team, they let him walk. So you always have that in play as well. That's pretty much it. And again, I don't want to get too deep in it with things likely to change here coming up. But that Sacramento-Charlotte game, circle that one. That one should be fun. Two decent teams. Charlotte's coming. You think about Charlotte, those guys. They got a lot of guys we're looking at tonight. They get LaMelo Ball back. They get Rozier back. I mean, this could be a team that can make a run at it in the Eastern Conference. I mean, there's a lot of young, talented players that are getting this additional opportunity now. That's going to be helpful down the line when they can play 7, 8, 9 deep when they do get everybody back. Sacramento, they get Harrison Barnes back. I like him tonight as well. So definitely have that one circled on the calendar tonight. So any other thoughts here in the NBA? If not, we're ready for some best bets, baby.
Yeah, you mentioned that Charlotte team. As you mentioned, I've been riding them here. They've been, you mentioned they're over. They won 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games have gone over their last 6. They actually pushed their last one, but 6 out of 7 games, Chris, have gone over. And we're not talking light numbers here. We're talking 225 and up. So as you mentioned, to me, I think sometimes when you're betting over-unders, I always think to myself, is there a cap to where they can't really put it too high? Like college football, you can't put it much higher than 80. I've seen 80. You can't put it much higher than that. And like in NFL, you don't really see much higher than 58, 55. Very rarely would you even see a 60. So sometimes it's like hockey. You don't see anything more than a 6.5. So I think here in this NBA, I don't think you're going to see too much higher than a mid 230s. That often, if at all. So I think numbers like that, sometimes I look for a little edge where I think they're borderline where they don't want to put it too high because then nobody's going to take it and then they really take a big hit. But yeah, I like these numbers when they're like that, where I think they're just almost to where the point you can't go much higher.
Yeah, that's one of the highest totals we've seen all season long. So again, I always love to look at pace stats, which is just basically, how fast are they playing? And these are both top 3 teams. So it's tough to bet those numbers. We've seen numbers this high and the teams will put up 260. I don't like to mess with them usually in betting. And this one has moved up. You could have got this one early this morning, 227, 228. So it's already on the move. So not sure it's going to make a best bet, but should be a fun game to watch. So Scott, it's that time of the show. Best bet time. What are we doing here tonight? Mostly NBA on the docket, unless you want to go somewhere else. But let's give the people some winners. Let's stay hot. Let's finish this week strong. Best bets for Friday night. What do you got?
Well, Chris, I got 2 tonight, and actually the game we're talking about is going to be one of my best bets. The point I was going to get to here in that over-under, they've covered the last 6 out of 7, what I said, but let's talk about the margin that they've gone over. Over by 36, over by 32, over by 21, over by 27, over by 61, and over by 21.5. So, they're blowing out these over-unders. So I'm going to roll with that. I'm going to roll with the over in this Charlotte and Sacramento game. I just like the way it's been. They've been trending there, as you mentioned. They're really high in pace. I don't think they can go much higher. So that one for me is definitely one of my best bets. And then Chris, I hate to do it to you, but the Houston Rockets have been pretty hot. I'm going to take the 9 at home against your Bucks. So I hate to do it. I just wanted to see too what your reaction was when I saw that and I was debating. I said, if I get a chance here to pick against the Bucks, I think I should do so. But I do like that pick, them getting the 9 points. I just think that's a little bit too much for a team that's been playing as well as they have lately.
Here's what I'll say. They're missing some pieces, which is certainly not going to help. But the Bucks have been terrible against the spread, 11-15 this season. So I don't hate that one at all. And I think you could see somebody rested here. A Giannis, maybe a Middleton, a Holiday, potentially multiple pieces. So that's just me kind of guessing that this number likely should be a little bit higher. So maybe that's sometimes an indicator of what's going on. But I don't hate that one at all. I'm fine. I don't bet with my heart. I don't always bet with my team. So no problems with that one. So I'm going to give you 3 in the NBA tonight. I got 1 total I like and a couple spreads. I'm going to start with the over In the Dallas, Indiana game, seeing 213 at the majority of places. There is a 212.5 out there. So I like the over there. We saw that go hit the other night with Indiana and the Knicks. The Pacers playing very little defense. Dallas, a team that can really run up the score. Even their defense not been great this season. So give me the over in that one. I like the Brooklyn Nets here tonight. +2 or +2.5 at some places. We'll go +2 here on the best bets in Atlanta. The Hawks, a team I really like, no doubt. But I think Atlanta or Brooklyn at full strength beats this Atlanta team outright. So even if you can get a money line bet there, I don't hate that one. And then the aforementioned Knicks, I'm going to go against them tonight. I'm going to go with Toronto, starting to play some good basketball, -1.5 here at home against the New York Knicks. So, again, Brooklyn +2, New York Knicks -1.5, and the over 213 in the Dallas, Indiana game. So, 5 picks on the board, Scott. We're getting to the end of that two-hearted. So, final reviews here. I don't think you liked it. Anything changed here while you were sipping on that here throughout the show?
You know, if this was the only beer I had to drink, I wouldn't complain. That's for sure. But like I said, there'd probably be a few others that I'd put in front of it, but I didn't mind it. It was pretty good. Like I said, though, it's a little bit bitter, but I don't mind it. I would drink it. Like I said, if there was the only thing in the cooler and you invited me over, that was the only thing in the fridge, I'd definitely have my share. That's for sure.
You know better than that. You know that fridge has got something for everybody. There's something in there for you. We'll keep the Modelos and the Coronas cold for you.
Yeah, your fridge is like the United Nations of beers. There's it's impressive, I must say. I know the first time I opened it, it's like you can tell when you open the door. It's like, whoa, this door is even heavy. There's so many different beers all stacked on the side of the door, even so. But very impressive, as you said. If you got some beers hiding down there in your basement, there, I had not quite seen that, but I was definitely impressed with what I saw already.
Try to keep something in there for everybody. That's the goal. And yeah, the basement, there's probably 1,000 bottles of beer down here. So if you're a beer lover, you'd love the barrel-aged beers, reach out to me. Love talking beer. Again, you can't have a name beer without loving beer. So here we are. Cheers to you. Cheers to the people out there. Cheers to Bell's and their Two-Hearted, one of my favorites. So again, if you guys have a local beer, a local brewery that you love, that you work for, whatever it may be, let us know. We want to spotlight as many as we can here every single Friday and see if we can turn Scott into a craft beer drinker here. So I think we're 1-1 on our beer best bets here. So we'll see if we can find one that he'll enjoy. I may have to go to some darker beers, Scott. It's December, January. That means stouts, porters, the brown beers. So we may have to pull one of those out. I'll try to ease you into it. But again, you guys have any suggestions, please feel free to reach out. So, Scott, final thoughts for the people here Friday night. What do you got, buddy?
Man, them best bets, we got to stay high. We got to keep this money gun flowing, Chris. We got to get some winners. So let's do it. Let's go.
Let's do it. 5 of them on the board in the NBA. So good luck with your bets tonight. We thank you for watching. For Scott, for our boy Spencer behind the glass, I am Beer. We are Woodward Bets. Again, good luck tonight. Thanks for watching. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, 9 a.m., talking some Army, Navy, college football. And then Sunday morning, 9 a.m., come on back to talk some NFL. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We'll see you in the morning.